Everybody, welcome to Vikings Productions. My name is Edward Rentasso. We want to welcome here at the PCC campus. I am here with Bree today. Bree, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Tell us about yourself a little bit.
Yeah. So my name is Bree, and I work here at Lbcc part-time. I'm a graduate intern in the Early College Initiatives Office, and we handle the dual enrollment services, and we work closely with middle and high school students.
Oh, so it's mostly more of getting them ready to that next step once they finish high school?
Yes, and it's also for them if they want to take college classes. So if they want to get courses that are transferable to Cal States and UCs, then they are able to take courses with us for free here at LBCC.
And they could do that as soon as they hit the 6th grade?
Yes.
To the 12th grade? Awesome.
Yes, as soon as they hit 6th grade, they're able to take those courses with us. We have them in person and we also have them virtually. So it just depends on what the student wants to do.
Now, we have an event here going on today. Can you explain more about what's going on at the campus
Yes.
today?
Yes, so we actually have Viking Preview Day here today, and it's mostly for high school seniors who are deciding if they want to come to LBCC after they graduate from high school. So there are a lot of seniors here. We have a resource fair with table set up. We have the financial aid office here, scholarships. We have dual enrollment services, student life, basic needs. So all the services that we offer here at LBCC, they have a resource fair, they have a table set up, and they're answering all of the students' questions. Basically, we just want students to be familiar with the services that we offer here at LBCC, and we want them to decide if they would like to come to LBCC after they graduate from high school. And a lot of them are deciding to transition to LBCC, and they're choosing our school to come to.
And it's never too late to make that planning, especially even if you're in the 12th grade.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, so far today, how many of the seniors have come and say, I want to come check this out?
Yeah.
I saw also some signs on the way over here about CTE and the other programs.
Right.
What other programs are being offered here today?
Right. So it's also CTE night. So all the trades are happening. And so we have the welding program. We have automotive. We also have metal fabrication. So all of the trade services, they're promoting to high school students tonight. So for any of those students who are interested in doing trade work, they're able to learn more about those programs, and they're going to be taken on a tour through all of the buildings to learn about those programs.
And that's a very awesome thing to do.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing this as far as?
Yeah, so I've only been here for a year working at LBCC, but it's been a great year, and I've been able to connect with a lot of middle and high school students, so it's been amazing. And the student support services here, all the staff, they're all amazing.
Now let me ask you,
Yeah.
what's the best thing you've seen so far, having the kids come out?
Yeah.
What's on your mind when you see these future potentials of careers in technology or auto?
Yes.
When you see that, how much does that really show that the work that you're all putting in is paying off?
Right. We get a lot of students here at LBCC, and we also work closely with alternative high schools. So those are students who have been kicked out of high schools throughout Long Beach. And so for those students, a lot of them, they aren't expected to go to college and they aren't given that opportunity. But when we, through the dual enrollment support services, are able to work with those students, we're able to help them and speak with them and let them know that college is an option for them. Yes. So that's always my favorite part, to expose them to the services that we have here, because even beyond college and taking college classes with us, we have so many support services here that can help them throughout life. So if they are wondering what kind of career that they want to pursue, we have services that can help them with that. If they need support services like housing or food, we have those services. So it's just always amazing to be able to work with all types of students, but especially students who are a lot of times forgotten in the system, to just make sure that those opportunities are presented to them.
And that's a very good thing too. It shows that even if you had a rough time in school, if you were kicked out like she had mentioned, or your grades wasn't up, you still have that second opportunity. And right now, if you're a high schooler, you're around here, you're watching, you should come over to the PCC campus, because this event is going on right now. And how long will the event go to?
Yes, the event is going to go on until 8:30. So right now, the resource fair is taking place. After that, we're going to have campus tours. Then students are going to be given the opportunity to meet with faculty, and they can ask questions. We also have CTE night happening, so students can go over to the trades and learn more about those programs.
And that's a good thing too. As mentioned, there's a lot of things going on here at the campus. If you have a decision to make, if you want to come to college, you should really come. I don't really see there's nothing going on right now. I mean, look, we know the Lakers lost last night, the Clippers are out, and baseball's already happened, so there shouldn't be no excuse or nothing to kind of stop you from coming. You should just come, check it out. Again, there's a lot of things going on. You have questions, and they're even going to take tour around the campus. And what's one of the things you want to send a message to the students right now that are watching?
Yeah, I just want to say that LBCC is a very welcoming community, and we welcome all people from all backgrounds, and we're excited to meet and work with all students. So if you're thinking about what your next step is going to be after high school, if you have friends that are thinking about that or younger family members and you want to be an example and just explore something new, whether that is taking a class or just one class or exploring the different career options that we have, we welcome you to come here to LBCC and meet and network with people. We're just excited to meet with you all. And if you have any questions, we're here to support you.
Now, I have another question here. Now, let's go back here. We know
Yes.
we've been dealing with the pandemic the last couple
Yeah.
of years. We know that, things are starting to get normalized again.
Yeah.
We know in-person learning was pretty much limited the last couple of years. We all
Yeah.
had to get adjusted to Zoom and watching everyone on the screen.
Yeah.
What do you say if someone asks a question about that? If there's maybe possible fear or they're just not ready to come into in-person.
Right.
What would you be able to respond to a question like that?
Right. I would definitely say to just take it slow because we all completely understand that, the effects of the pandemic, they're still happening and people are mourning. There's a lot of mourning happening. There are a lot of things and ways that people have been impacted by the pandemic. So for people who aren't comfortable coming back in person, we're going to take things slow. If you are afraid to be around a lot of people, then we can work one-on-one with you with mask on. You can still take online classes if you want to, but also I would encourage you, if you would like to still take online classes, to maybe take like 1 or 2 classes in person, just so that you can start transitioning back into in-person classes, because that's when we're able to make the best connections with people, when we're in person. But we still have those support services for you if you are transitioning back to being in person. We can work with you as you're thinking of in-person classes, but if you're also considering still being online, yes.
Now, let's say we're a student here at the campus and we just see this, and let's say, like me, I'm getting ready to graduate in a couple weeks. What if you're a graduate, but you saw this and it's like, maybe I want to look into this more?
Yeah.
What would you suggest to that person?
Yeah, I would suggest that you definitely connect with our Career Center here at LBCC, because there are so many opportunities. There are so many jobs and careers out there that can help you with your next steps. And even once you leave LBCC, depending on the career that you choose, there will always be room for you to come back to school, whether that's to earn a certificate or to take another class to refresh on whatever industry that you're in. So LBCC is a first step, but it's always here for you to come back. So for any student that's graduating, you may be graduating, but this is always a place that you can come back to, no matter what, to get those support services and careers and to keep continuing on with your education in different ways.
And you heard it, there's a lot of options and just a lot of things you can do. Again, if you're not busy, come by the campus. We'll be here till 8:30. I do want to thank Free for coming on here and letting us know, and what you're doing with the college and what the college is offering. It's really incredible, really remarkable. And we're going to be here for a while, so go ahead and we're going to take a quick intermission, and then we'll be back for more interviews.
Thank you.
Hello, yes, hi. We are back here at PCC, and we are here with our next guest, and her
Hello.
name.
I'm Tiffany Green, and I'm a professor here at Lbcc.
Perfect. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Do you want the short or long version?
Anything's fine.
Okay. So I was born deaf, and I studied linguistics for about 20 years. And I've been working here about 8 months, and then soon it'll be my 1-year anniversary.
Perfect.
So I teach all the ASL courses here, ASL 1 to 2, and we are under the ESL ASL Linguistics Department. And right now we're trying to set up a interpreting program, and hopefully that gets going next year.
Perfect. You said by next year the program should be up and running?
That's the goal.
Now, you've been here for 8 months. What's one of your best moments so far here at the college?
Oh, it's kind of hard to pick. So one of my best memories actually happened just now, eating the cookie from the culinary department. Have you had those cookies?
No, what kind of cookie was it?
Chocolate chip. It was so good.
Think I might go for some of that later on.
You should. Yeah, so that was my best memory here.
But as of today's events so far, explain more about the CTE event that's ongoing today here.
Okay. So we're letting the high school students know about what's available here. So see if they want to study ASL or become an interpreter. Because right now we don't have that many interpreters, especially for the educational field. So we desperately need educational interpreters. Well, and just in general, there's a shortage of interpreters. So we're hoping to get students interested in ASL to study more.
And that's very exciting too. I used to know someone who was actually for 14 years, and he also was into ASL and then in studies as well. What's one of the challenging things as far as becoming an interpreter?
I'm sorry, what was?
What is the challenge? One of the challenging things that's becoming an interpreter?
Being dedicated to learning a second language. It's the same as learning Spanish or French, so you have to stick with it in order to become an interpreter. You have to take the test, you have to know the code of ethics, and so on. It's a long commitment. It's about a 5-year process, 2 years just to learn the language, and then 3 more years to learn the interpreting process.
That's excellent. And as far as education-wise, college and university, is that correct?
Correct.
Now,
If you want, you can just learn ASL here, and then you can transfer to CSUN. They have a wonderful program there, a BA program for interpreting. And Cal State Long Beach, which is right here, also offers it.
now you mentioned earlier that there's a shortage in staff right now. What's the one thing you want to encourage those that are thinking about getting into the field of study as far as becoming an ASL interpreter? What do you want to tell them to say, hey, this is a great career for you, these are the benefits, you'll learn a lot, and you learn to bond with people? What is one of the messages you want to say?
Wow, okay. Interpreting is never boring, first of all. And you will meet such a variety of people. Right? You never know what to expect. And you can also interpret to children. And you can also interpret to people who have disabilities. And you might be interpreting for older adults. You could be at a wedding. Sometimes you can be interpreted at a funeral. It's never boring. And there's so many jobs available. Flexible scheduling, if you prefer working evenings, that's doable. If you want to do weekends, that is also possible.
Perfect. And was there an event that you went to go interpret? If you had a favorite event, which one was? Like, what was the name of the event that you got to do your favorite moment?
In general, or here at LBCC?
In general, it could be in general. Any favorite moment, memory?
Oh, you're asking me to pick one?
Your favorite one. It could be anyone, any favorite moment.
Okay, 2 weeks ago there was a New Year's celebration and a really gorgeous parade. Were you there?
Can you tell me the name of the event?
It was a South Asian culture. They were doing their New Year celebration. It was right here in Long Beach.
I believe it was the Cambodian New Year celebration. If that's
Yes, that's the one.
yeah, that's always an exciting event. I never really personally been there, but I've read about what a
Oh,
great event it
really?
is. Yes, I read about what a wonderful time of the year it is for them.
You should go next year.
Oh, next year I will be there. If you're there next year, I will be. I remember her.
Oh, you're not gonna be here?
I'll be graduating in a couple weeks here, so but I will always be around.
Oh, congratulations.
Now let me ask a question. So we know that the pandemic has taken its toll on everybody. What was the difficult part of teaching and doing interpretation while you were just in one classroom and all the students were like on the Zoom camera?
Well, okay. It impacted the deaf community pretty hard because a lot of deaf people lost their jobs. And a lot of them struggled using Zoom for school because some of their interpreters could not access the technology. So their education really took a toll. And like I said before, there is a shortage of interpreters. And then there were interpreting students who took classes online and they just felt a disconnect. They did not feel like they were part of the community. It's not the same, as like face to face. So it was hard for them to adjust. Yeah, the pandemic really affected us differently depending on how much money and technology you have. Some of the students were able to access since some of them don't have internet at home because they might have to share internet with their family, with their children, so it was really tough.
Yeah, it was very challenging too, especially for almost everybody. Just having to be at home, having to do work at home, having to do school. It was a very, very difficult time, especially when I would watch the governor's news conference and they also had the interpreter as well. I could tell it was very, very challenging. But, 3 years later, looking into this, what is your message you want to say to the students right now?
It doesn't feel like 3 years. It feels like it's still pretty new.
It still feels pretty new too, but it's gone by fast, I'll say that.
Sorry, what was your question?
So 3 years later, as you see, people are starting to come back on campus, in-person learning. What's the one thing you want to let students know about, coming back into in-person learning and just try to just give up a little bit of the Zoom sessions or the online learning to try to just test out, come back to campus in person?
Okay. So, for a very long time during the pandemic, deaf events were put on hold, and now they can finally get back together. So, like coffee night, game night, things like that. So, we're slowly going back to that. So, it's nice to be back with our community again, because we lost 3 years of that. So I want to tell them, if you learn this new language, then you can, join this new community.
And it's a very wonderful thing too. And there is shortages of interpreters, and schools do need that. Even here at the colleges, if that's something you're looking into, if you want to learn more about it, just come on over. We're here until 8:30. Also, you can log into our website at lbcc.edu. You can follow us on Facebook and our Instagram pages. I do want to thank Tiffany for coming on to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we're going to take a brief intermission, and we'll be back for more right after this. All right, we are back here on Vikings here on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. I am now joined by Maureen Mason, who is a professor for ESL here at Lbcc. Thank you so much for joining us, and just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Maureen Mason. Which camera do I look at? Any? And I'm the department head of the English as a Second Language, American Sign Language, and Linguistics department. And you saw our sign professor, our amazing Tiffany Green. Well, we have amazing ESL professors and linguistics as well. English as a second language has classes from the absolute most beginning level to college transfer classes in freshman composition. So anyone who has a diverse linguistic background would benefit from our freshman comp in the ESL department, ESL 1S. And then we also offer linguistics, which is the study of all human languages. And so there's great jobs in the linguistics major, including programming and speech pathology and even accent coaches. A friend of mine has her degree in linguistics, and she's an accent coach to Hollywood actors. And
do you know what famous actors?
Oh, she's had a lot. She'll email me, guess what? One of my students just got an Oscar or an Emmy. And she'll sometimes coach people. People always assume she's coaching non-native English speakers to speak English, but in fact, she'll teach you to sound like you're from Boston,
Nice.
or from a little village in Ireland, or from the village next door that speaks entirely differently. So there's a lot of great jobs in linguistics.
Is there, I've heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard this once before. Like, is it true that you're able to learn as far as like having that New York accent as well? Or is that just something that someone just made up, like?
That can you learn a New York accent?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. If you're an accent coach, you can teach it too. And if you study linguistics, if you go into phonetics and the study of production of sound, absolutely. In fact, I offer a class here at the college called Accent Reduction. But basically what it is learning how American English is spoken, specifically on the West Coast, because we do sound different than Texas or Wisconsin or Canada or New York or New Jersey. So yeah, that's a real fun class. It's a very high level ESL class that teaches American English pronunciation.
So now I'm actually a major in sportscasting. And
Okay.
I like to become a play-by-play announcer. Will this class help benefit more as far as the accent I have, as far as, if I have to go, call games in other states like Texas, New Jersey, even Boston? Will that be like some sort of a useful tool as far as anyone that's trying to get into that field as well?
I suspect that people prefer a more standard pronunciation than the regional specific pronunciations because broadcasts are nationwide often. And so if you're speaking Texan English, they might not understand you in Washington. So this class teaches the standard American pronunciation.
So, for instance, if I have to work a game for the New York Jets of the NFL, would I have to say New York Jets, or would I have to have that, accent with New York Jets,
I think that they would prefer a standard.
Well,
So you're safe. Your English is good.
Well, they would have to understand, especially the only reason I'm saying Jets fan because of what they did the last few days. So everybody's going to be a Jet fan now. So that's why I was asking.
Okay.
So you've been teaching here for 20 years.
Just about.
And what's been one of your favorite, teaching moments here at LBCC?
Oh my gosh. Every day that I walk into the classroom is my favorite day. We have the best classes. Our students are the best in the whole college. They're just amazing. It's wonderful to teach English. It's actually wonderful to teach something that students actually want to learn. Because our classes aren't requirements, right? People take them because they want to learn the language. And every day is a joy. I can't have one example. All right, so I was teaching a composition class, high-level composition class, and one of my Chinese students was a business major because I always find out what my students are studying so that I can help them out. And she struggled in the beginning, but had a great work ethic and really smart, competent woman. And by the end of the semester, she was in love with the English language, and she changed her major to English.
Oh man,
so that made me feel good.
Now, have you heard from your any former students that have been in your class? Like, hey, this is what I've been doing since,
Not too often, unfortunately. I did hear about that one, but usually, students get the skills they need and move on. And sometimes they'll come back, but not as often as it would be nicer if they did.
That's awesome. So just one question. The people that are watching online right now, they're wanting, interested in coming to college. What do you want to tell them as far as why you should take these courses?
ESL courses?
Yes.
Or ASL or
Yes.
linguistics?
Anything. What will your message be to the students right now watching online?
Well, language is the foundation of everything, and words are the weapon of choice. You can actually achieve change and win battles through words and not necessarily any other way.
Yeah.
So it's really important to have a strong language foundation. I could tell you examples of where language has, I personally changed a federal law because of a complaint that I wrote really well.
Wow.
So, oh yeah, language is everything. And some people are afraid of it, or they're afraid of English or composition, and you don't need to be afraid of it because we're here to help people be successful. We know how to make them successful, and we welcome you with open arms. We want to help you succeed in every aspect of your life, and that's why we're here.
And she's been here for 20 years, and she pretty much knows the ropes, and you'll get great advice from her. Professor Mason, thanks so much for joining us here. We're going to go ahead and take a quick intermission, and we'll be back for more after this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back to our special here on Viking Productions. I'm now joined by Jose, who's director of the Phoenix Scholars. And Jose, good to see you today. How are you doing today
I'm
so
good,
far?
thank you.
And tell us more about yourself and the program of the Scholars.
Yeah, so Phoenix Scholars is a program here at Long Beach City College that works with youth that are gang impacted 16 to 24. What does gang impacted mean? You self-identify as a gang member, you have a family member that's in a gang, and or live in an area that has gang violence. A program like this is very important because I think sometimes students' opportunities are taken away from them or not get easily given to them. So what we do is basically ensure that our students are being supported throughout the whole process here at Long Beach City College. I have an academic counselor that provides individualized support for counseling sessions with our students, a wellness coach that kind of does more of one-on-one, talking about issues that students deal with, and a success coach that's basically the point person that connects students to any resources that are available. And what we do is basically, I tell students, I want you to focus on your school. Any problems that come about, come to us and we might be able to find you support.
Right, that's awesome. Now you're telling me off camera that this program just completed its 1 year?
We're wrapping up our first year. We started off last summer with the Summer Academy. Long Beach City College received a grant back in December of 2021, and I started, I think, March of 2022. Got the program together. We started off with 25 students. We're up around 50.
Oh, that's awesome, and congratulations on almost completing the first year.
Thank you.
And what changes have you seen in these students within the last 12 months of this program?
Wow. Confidence, I think, is one of them. When I met with them last summer, they were so timid and so forth. They didn't know what they wanted to do, and we kind of exposed them to a lot of the other programs here at Long Beach City College, supported them, get to know them individually. A lot of them have other external factors that they've had problems with at home and so forth, so we've seen them grow also. One of our students actually was on the newspaper for the Viking News back in, I think, November, December. So I've seen changes in them that they might have not seen. Actually, I have two students working some of the booths over here. So we tell them, sense of belonging, community, build that community, and seeing them on campus, building that community, interacting with each other.
Now, when you talk about the students trying to get their confidence back, they're coming from, that were affiliated with gangs. What was like the challenging part to kind of encourage them to say, hey, you can still do it? Something may happen, or you may have been dealt with a bad hand, but you still have an opportunity to better yourself. What was the challenging thing or a challenging moment that, maybe one of the students wasn't sure if they would be able to do this or not?
I'll talk about how I broke that challenge in the beginning. In the Summer Academy, we're very open about our own past experiences. My team have had some type of lived experience. So even sharing our own personal life of, I grew up in a gang area. I have family members that were in a gang. I have staff members that come from single families or whatnot. Like all of these barriers that are always put in front of students, we identify with. So I think one of the key things was for us to be honest about who we are. And that has actually allowed us to, the students build that confidence of like, hey, I've been through that already. You could do it. You could do it. And I think that's just a constant reminder that they could really relate to us.
And how much pride do you see when these students actually, come back and they get into their education? And like, what's the best thing you see in that student compared to when they first came into the scholarship program?
So another student of mine, when they came in, they didn't know what they wanted to do. They're just like, maybe I'll just use this as a way to kind of keep me busy. A few weeks ago, we went up north to the Northern California college tour, and now he's a physics student. Like, he realized, like, he's a science person. He wants to go to grad school and be a doctor and so forth. So I think that all of these little things of changes that I see in them is what's really great. It's rewarding.
It's like that one moment you need is just to make that change to, hey, it's what I want to do, you know. So as far as the program goes, is there any new things that are coming up, this year or going into the next school year by any chance?
Yeah, so this summer we are going to have our second summer academy. It's going to be 3 days, August 16, 17, 18. Don't quote me on those. It'll be on the website.
No worries.
It'll be 3 days of workshops for incoming students or any incoming freshman students that are coming in. These workshops are going to talk about sense of belonging, building identity, building your community, dealing with how to talk about secondary trauma. So, and last year we were able to get some money to the students. We're trying to secure some completion grant that we received from our partner, Central Child.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then for next year, I think one of the things that we did this year is really engage students in activities. We had a field trip to the movies a few weeks ago. So we're going to, I think having social events is also important for the students, keeping them off of the streets.
Yeah, those bonding events, or how important is it to bond with the students to make sure that they stay on track, that they don't backslide, or if they were to run into an obstacle, they can just get up and keep going, go through the wall. What's the type of encouragement how important the bonding is?
I think that if you were to walk by my office on any given day, you would see that the students have that trust. As a director, like, I have an open door policy.
Yes.
So seeing the students, and I've seen other people walk by, Jose, there's always a student in there. Yes, they are, and they trust me with what's going on at their home, or I'm having problems with this, or hey, Jose, I signed up for this. Like, to me, that's very important.
Yes.
So I think that the bond has helped because, one, we were honest about who we were, about our struggles and where we're at, and they know that generally we are here to help them. No judgment on what they want to do, no judgment on what issues they might have, because we might have gone through it. So.
Now, as we see a lot of students coming by here through the campus, they're doing campus tours right now, I believe. What's the message you want to tell to the students, that are here right now, and then those that are watching us right now on YouTube? What is the one message you want to tell them to say, hey, you can do this, no matter what bad situation that's happened, you just can't give up?
Well, one thing that I would say is that some students are afraid of saying that they are in a gang-impacted area because of that negative stigma. So it's kind of like, let's turn it around. Let's turn it around and say, we now live in an area that we're in a neighborhood that has resources and so forth. So just changing that mentality and then just telling them, like, there's a space for them. Space for you here. And the other thing that we do is we work with all of the other programs here at Long Beach City College. We connect them to really build up that support for them.
Now, I've dealt with this in my life before, and it's probably a good question to ask. But what do you do, or how can you help a student if they have that mentality where say I can do it on my own, I don't need help, I got it, but you see that they're still struggling in that moment. Like, how are you able to just kind of open up that connection and say, you know what, we're here for you, you're not in this alone, we can help you, we just need you to just kind of open up and trust us on that.
We never give up. So I've had students that we might not hear from them for a whole month. We'll still send them a text message. We might not hear from them. And then they realize, like, okay, they're really out here for help us. Because I think one of the students had mentioned that when they go elsewhere, if the agency stops reaching out, then they'll stop going to them. For me, I'm not going to stop until they tell me, I'm done. And luckily, we were able to connect those students back into school. So just persistency of making sure they know we're here to support them.
That's awesome, and that's a great program you guys have, and it's really proud that you guys are completing 1 year, and we hope for more years to come. And for students that are still dealing with that situation, you don't have to give up, you don't have to quit. Jose's been through his rough times, and just look how he is today. He's had students in the programs, they've been successful. If you want to know more about it, again, come to campus. He's got a booth right here.
We got a booth here. We also have an Instagram. It's LBCCPS, which is Long Beach City College Phoenix Scholars.
And for more information on that as well, you can also log into our school website as well at lbcc.edu. Jose from the Phoenix Scholars, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you
so much, and best of luck the rest of the semester. and we're going to go ahead and take a quick intermission. We'll be back. Back here on Viking Network on YouTube. We are now joined by Juan, who is the professor in the Culinary Arts Department.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Tell us about yourself, Juan.
Yeah, this is my first year teaching here at Long Beach City College. Prior to coming to Long Beach City College, I was actually working at the Applied Technology Center High School in Montebello, California. I was working there for 3 years as a CTE instructor, and now I'm glad to be part of the Viking family.
Now we do have like CTE going on here as well. Tell us more about when you first got introduced to CTE.
So I didn't really know what CTE was until I actually started to work in the high school setting. So at first I thought it was just about cooking, but what I eventually realized was that CTE involves more than just cooking, and it involves other trades. And the one thing that I've noticed is that there's a lot of CTE trades that one can dive into. So that was my first real experience with CTE.
The funny thing too is I didn't know much about the CTE program until we were at the Long Beach Grand Prix last week, and we got to interview with other people. I got to know more about what CTE does. Now you've been here for over a year. What's one of the favorite things you like to teach in culinary arts?
I always tell this to the students. First, before you can actually run, you need to learn how to crawl, and then you learn how to walk, and then you can run. So for me, it's very important for my students to be able to know the elementaries of cooking, elementary techniques, elementary aspects of cooking, so that then they can be able to be creative and run with their imagination.
Now you're able to show the students about the favorite dishes they can make and all that, and all the cooking. What's one of the favorite dishes you got to taste from a student?
There's probably have been many. What I like to see is their creativity. So when I'm able to see their creativity and the way they compose a dish, I not only I not only taste, but I also see first. So in that sense, I get to see and taste something that's delicious. A great example today, a student made a sweet potato dish with Korean spices. This chili paste called gochujang.
Yes.
Soy sauce, sesame seed oil, and she presented it in a way that was very playful in the sense that you could just eat it with one bite and you had an explosion in your mouth of flavors.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And that was your best dish of the day so far? Or?
Of today, yeah. There's definitely been others, but right now my memory is a little foggy, but that one definitely stands out.
So let me ask you a question. So I know we have viewers when are watching. When you talk about cooking, people sometimes think about the show Hell's Kitchen, with Chef Gordon Ramsay. What's one of the differences that you teach in your class compared to what he has showing his chefs on the TV show?
I think for me, the important part that I teach in my class is that I like to have more so of a relationship with the students, get to know them, as opposed to yelling at them like Chef Gordon Ramsay does and telling them they're, yeah, I'm not even going to say it, but
we know.
I want to make sure I'm able to develop that relationship with the students so that they can then in turn be able to be creative, work as a team with their classmates, and so I have to say this, but wash dishes. And most of us probably do not like to wash dishes, but the students come together, work as a team, and are able to finish before class ends.
No, I wash dishes myself. I don't mind doing it. It's just that when you host a house party and there's like this tray or two trays of all these dishes, it's like, okay, now that's not really fun.
But... Oh yeah, it's not 2 trays. It's more like 5 times, 10 other trays. So it adds up.
Now in the class, I know I'm going back to Hell's Kitchen because I know when they bring up a dish, it's got to get checked before it goes out. You ever have something like that where it comes up, but it's like maybe undercooked or raw, like?
Yeah, certainly. So I'm in charge of making sure that all the students present their dishes. I want to make sure that they are creative. I want to make sure that they have the flavor profile that I demonstrated to them for the day, but also give them constructive criticism so that they can then be able to take it and continue to build on those skills and that knowledge that they need to be able to fine-tune their craft.
And that's very awesome. And just to let you know, too, he's got a booth here on campus. He's made cookies, and those cookies are awesome. I just had one right now, right before we came on. So those are delicious cookies. But let me ask you another question. Have you had any students that's graduated from the culinary arts that have gone on to become, great chefs and own restaurants, or maybe become Michelin chefs or anything?
So since I am new at Long Beach City College, I myself have not had those students, but I do know that our program has had those students, and they're running their own businesses, they're running their own restaurants, and they're being successful. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, let's say Chef Ramsey's watching right now, and he somehow calls you and says, "Hey, I want you to come and be my sous chef." Now, was that something that you would like to try to be his right-hand man, or is it like, I want to stay and teach kids, learn how to cook, be a teacher? If you were to have that option right now, what would you choose?
I think I would still choose to teach at Long Beach City College simply because I have had a fruitful career in hospitality in restaurants and hotels. I've got the opportunity to travel and work in different restaurants outside of the United States. And I think it's now time for me to be able to present that to the students of today so that they can then in turn become the sous chef of Gordon Ramsay, and they can run with him and his endeavors.
Now, let's say you have, because you've been here for a year, so let's say you have one of your students become one of those great chefs and they reach out to you. Is that something you want to see, like, going forward in the culinary arts?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Their success is my success, and I'm always will be willing to help them out. I'm happy for them. As a matter of fact, I want to continue to support them even after they graduate with whatever advice they might need in the industry, so that they can continue to grow.
Now we have students that are watching online right now. What is the message you want to tell them if they want to get into cooking, learning more about culinary arts, or pretty much dishes from like different countries? What do you want to let the students know about what great of a program this is?
Well, what I would say is that we have an amazing facility at Long Beach City College, the LSC campus. We have an amazing faculty, staff that are willing to show you the ropes and continue to give you the knowledge that you need, the skills that you need to be those leaders of tomorrow. And the last thing I would say is that if food is a passion for you, run with it. You never work a day in your life if you love what you do. And for me, I mean, I love teaching, I love cooking, and I don't see it as work, I see it more as a fun time. So, yeah.
Now, let me ask one last question. What is one of your favorite dishes you just like to make? Something not having to be here, but like in your spare time. What's your favorite dish to cook?
It's a great question. So I actually started cooking when I was 12. I started working accidentally with my siblings at a restaurant. And at first it was washing dishes, chopping vegetables. I didn't really like it, to be quite honest. But what I did like was that I was getting paid. So I was getting paid $5 an hour. Doesn't seem like a lot, but back then it was a lot of money.
Oh, yes.
As a middle schooler, I had money in my pockets, right?
Yeah.
And one of those first dishes that I started learning how to cook at that age was pasta with marinara sauce, chicken, and some bell peppers. So I hold that dish very dearly to my heart because it's one of those that will always stay within me that has helped me grow to who I am today.
That's awesome. But then some of the students are kind of starting to get hungry a little bit. But again, if you got nothing to do, we are here till 8:30 on campus. Chef Juan has a booth right here. You can come and learn more about the culinary arts, and also you can log into our website at lbcc.edu, and you can learn more about the culinary arts and what it offers. And if you want to get into a great chef, Chef Juan is the man you want to talk to. And thanks so much for joining us here, Chef.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the cookies, too. They're
Yeah,
awesome.
of course, yes.
And stick around. We'll be back for more after this. YouTube stream here at Long Beach City College. We are here at the PCC campus for our CTE event for 2023. Joining us now is Paulo. Paulo is in charge of event organizing that involves with mental health. And Paulo, thank you so much. Welcome, and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Edward. So my name is Paulo Contreras. So I am the Healthy Viking Coordinator, and I work at the Student Health Services. So fun fact before I dive into my my career. So I am a former student here. I'm a proud product of Long Beach City College. I graduated here in 2019 with my majors in psychology, sociology, and public health.
That's not that far.
Right? And then I graduated last year in UC Irvine.
Awesome.
So I was so sure that I was going to work in a prison with my mom. But I was like, my heart is in student affairs. So when they asked me for an opportunity to work with students and their mental health, I was like, I take it, I'm in. So yeah, basically what I do is that I coordinate events, programming, and workshops about topics about like mental health and student health.
Now, when you were brought on here to do these events, did they let you kind of like have the ball run away with it, like come up with your own ideas?
Yeah.
Or it was more like ideas like they had, you just had to like pretty much finalize everything?
It's kind of like a mix of both. So when I was coming in, it's kind of different being in the, the professional side now. I was part of the student government. I would be like asking like my advisors to set up everything for me.
Yes.
But the difference is as a professional, I set this up. So it's just like very different. So yeah, so when I started, they have like workshops already set that are created by the mental health clinicians here on campus.
Yes.
But I had the freedom to do my own events as well. Actually, I just had an event this morning. We call it Amplify Your Voice, and we invited like a speaker from Atlanta, Georgia,
Oh, awesome.
to talk about like finding light on mental darkness, because like a lot of like students feel that they're still having trouble adjusting coming back into in-person classes. So I just wanted to invite the speaker and just rejuvenate and like try to like motivate us, especially for like students of color.
That's very true what you're doing. That's awesome. Now, I did want to stay on the topic of what you said about getting back to normal life here. We know we've been dealing with COVID for the last 3 years. We had a lockdown 3 years ago where we had to stay home. Learning had to be on Zoom. Work from home, which most of us had to do. I know there were essential workers that worked around, but what was one of the toughest things to kind of convince students to say, hey, it's okay to come back?
Right.
We've done this before. I know we were in like in a dark area, but it's okay to come back to in-person learning. Like, what was the toughest thing to just convince a student to resume in-person learning?
Yeah, the toughest thing is that they're kind of scared of like the unfamiliarity, because like since we've been used to like being on Zoom, that some students forget to like how to properly interact with people, or folks rather, and then they're having basically having trouble of like just asking for help. I think like when I talk to like students, for example, for Welcome Week, they're so scared of like approaching me, but I'm just trying to help them out, like as like someone as a professional who wants them to get integrated back into campus.
Now, let me ask about the mental health awareness. We know in the last election, which was 2020, there was a high turnout in voting because of recent events that happened around that time. We had the COVID, we had lockdown, we had the protests for police brutality and injustice. How challenging is it to have students how important is it for them to voice how they feel, their expression, after just witnessing all this or everything that's happening? I mean, what's the challenging thing for them is it really challenging to express how a student can feel?
No, yeah, 100%. It's just for students, like, they're trying to like look for that outlet, but they don't know properly because like, maybe like some of their energy can be channeled into different things. Like, for example, like we were kept away from going to the gym or like hang out with our friends and socializing. So what we're trying to do when they're coming here, come back here in Long Beach City College, is that there is like a community for them, that they're seen, like that we have different programs that has like different representations. This is something like and when I was a student here, we didn't have. So it's cool to have like, seeing like Umoja and like the PETA community and different like student groups that are started to appear, and something like we didn't have.
Yes.
I said like 5 years ago. So like we're trying to make sure that our spaces here in Long Beach City College are inclusive, but also like they have a place here, that they belong here, and that it gets better after the pandemic.
Now, we've had a lot of situations that happened so far this year too. One of the topics I've seen so far was, and it's hard for me to talk about this, but the shootings. We've had shootings in Monterey Park. We had shootings at school. The one in Texas, and then gun violence on the rise. I mean, do you ever have students, or is this these workshops or these events that you organize? Is it just for students, or can students' parents can get involved as well to kind of like help someone if they're dealing with something?
That's a really good question. Usually, a lot of like my workshops I try to run is some of them are targeted towards students, but also some of them are targeted towards our faculty and staff, and making sure that they're able to help our students. So, like for example, for students, we do like a workshops in like depression, anxiety, and all of that, and learn to have like healthy coping skills. But we also teach like faculty and staff. Like we have like what we call like mental health first aid training. We do have like QPR, suicide prevention training, so that they are able to help the students in their classrooms. Because like we can only do so much in student health services.
Yes.
So that's why we also making sure that the students are aware that we have resources on campus, and making sure that our professionals, our faculty and staff are aware of these resources so they can make referrals.
So let me give you these three topics: stress, depression, anxiety. In your workshops, in your events that you organize, out of those three, which is the one topic that either questions are asked more or it's discussed more between those three to you?
I think it's an overlap, I would say. I would say it's an overlap because I feel like those emotions ball up into like one, major big problem that they didn't know how to like express themselves. I feel like in the past workshops I've conducted, they usually ask about around the same time because like, as I mentioned earlier, like maybe like these emotions are like they're too exposed to it during the pandemic.
Yes.
So that's why like now that they have like this sense of like uncertainty on how to like properly deal with these emotions. So that's why like we try our best to address all three of them.
Yes.
Not in one workshop, but in multiple workshops throughout the semester.
Now, do you feel that another reason that all this mental issues happen is it because of things that are shown on TV, or maybe because of, could it be political, maybe because of the people that are in office, or
Right.
or just all the things they say? Because I remember when we had the previous President Trump, he came out with the whole quote unquote fake news this, fake news that, and people still say it up to this day. And then a lot of people are not happy with our current president, and it's just been like so politically dirty these last couple of years.
Right.
You feel like those types of events is what leads to all these issues with mental.
I would say I feel like there's multiple factors on affecting like students' mental health, but definitely students being exposed to like social media is definitely one thing. Because like social media, as you mentioned, like there could be like fake news or exaggerated news, and parents, have a hard time like protecting their children.
Yeah, that's true.
And in those platforms, because like even parents don't know how to use it or how to like supervise, because they don't know themselves how to use those platforms. But yeah, and again, like we're in this social media world wherein like we only see. I think the thing that always pops out in our social media are always like bad news or like violence, and I feel like the students the younger students or younger generation are exposed to it, and maybe experiencing this feeling of like hopelessness and like what is our world coming to.
Yes.
So that's why like maybe some of them think that it's not going to get better.
Now we talk about that's on things that are on TV. For parents, what's one thing like school parents, or if you're a college student here, what type of activities would you recommend, like to avoid things that make you upset? Like for me, for instance, like watching the news is just depressing because all you hear is a shooting, a police chase, rioting, or
Right.
killing or kidnapping. Right. I mean, when the first 5 seconds I hear that, I just turn it off. For
Right.
me, I just get tired of seeing it. But what type of activities can one person do to just kind of like say, what, I kind of want to back away from that. I need to do something to better myself. Like, what's that something? Like, what would you recommend?
What I recommend is definitely try to like reduce your engagement with those type of platforms, whether it's like television, or cell phones and all of that. Because again, the more exposure you have, the more that you feel these types of like negative emotions.
Yeah, it's true.
So what I do in our workshops, so one of the things I did like a talking Tuesday with a class. So I just gave them like a tour of the campus and then visited the garden and just try to like be more like aware of our surroundings instead of just hearing it from our small screens, I guess. But yeah, trying to have them like be outside more and love the outside world more, because I feel like what I'm doing is like having these students have like a reintroduction and love the outside world and nature and try to like breathe more and like relax more, and it's okay to be like vulnerable and also like just take a breather, like stopping your class and just read in nature, check out the nature, touch, and all of that. It's just basically like for you to like have a different sense of like sensory sensory. I forgot what word I'm saying. Like, but sensory interactions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I know we're coming to the end of the semester. Do you have any workshops or events coming up that you are working on currently?
Yes. So, thank you so much for that question. So, if you follow our Instagram, it's called Lbcc _ Healthy Vikings. I'm actually going to post a calendar of all of our events that's happening on the month of May, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, that's true.
So yeah, but a lot of them, some of the topics have something to do with anxiety. I have like suicide prevention. I also have mental health first aid for our staff, and then and then a lot more. So I do a lot of like allyship trainings as well.
Yes.
Well, not me necessarily, but other co-workers and professionals are also working with us, are creating like a platform to also have like that sense of like belongingness at campus. So we have like an undocu ally training, and also May is also Asian Pacific Islander and Desi American month, basically.
Yes, I see. Now, I know during COVID there was a rise in Asian hate. Compared to 2020 and right now, 2023, do you feel that hate rate has kind of like gone down more, or has it gone up more, or do you feel like it's still the same from 2020? I
feel like it has gone up more, especially for me who identifies as a Filipino American.
Yes.
So I'm part of the Asian community. It has increased. And something about us Asians, we usually it's hard for us to like stand up for ourselves, because for me, how I was raised, I'm part Japanese and part Filipino. We don't usually defend ourselves. We usually brush it off. We just hate conflict, because I feel like it's like bad karma for us.
Yes, that's true.
So they feel that since we're not saying anything, that means like it's okay for us to get those hate. I don't know if they in the news, if they mention something like that. Usually, we like the last time I saw something like an Asian hate in the television, like the other person wasn't even retaliating.
No.
We just didn't say anything. We were just crying, and a lot of people were like bystanders.
Yeah, they just watched.
Yeah, they just watch us. So it's been really, really hard. But for me, who's working here at Long Beach City College, we try to like advocate that it's okay for us Asians to like speak out. We can advocate for ourselves. We can be, part of the community that stand up against like violence and hate.
That's awesome, and that's awesome that you're organizing these events, because I believe that's very important. And before we go, we do want to say that if you or someone is struggling with mental issues, there is help. If you're struggling with suicide prevention, you can also contact the suicide prevention line. You can also go, as Paula said, to the Instagram page, which is
Lbcc _ Healthy Vikings. But I also want to plug that we also have student health services here on campus. So we have like at PCC here at GG 117 and at LAC at A1010. But I also want to plug one of our free apps. It's called Timely Care. So Timely Care is a 24/7 care app that is like free for students. And then what's the great thing about it is that you get up to free 6 sessions with a mental health professional or mental health provider. And the great thing about that is we don't assign you one, you get to choose your provider. So basically, if you want someone who looks like you or speaks like you, or you want like a specific topic, kind of like depression or stress management, or you just want to talk to someone, you're able to do that, choose that provider. They have like a filter or like basically a summary of like their expertise. So I encourage students, like if they see this live, make sure to ask for like timely care. I'm more than welcome to help y'all in it. And again, this is free for students, and you have 12 sessions, so 6 sessions with timely care and 6 sessions with student health services. So 12 in total per semester, and it's free for y'all. So again, what my department is doing, we try to destigmatize like mental health and have, again, it's overwhelming coming back from the pandemic and all of this negative events that happen in the pandemic. Like, we're here for you to and make sure that you're able to be successful graduating in Long Beach City College.
And that's true. And again, there is help out there, so please reach out if you are struggling with it. Paulo, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is a very tough situation to talk about, but thank you for that. And we'll be back for more after this.